Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing. I'm Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 Twitter handle. You know that by now. And I'm joined today once again by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW and Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C Macdonald. Morning, gentlemen. Is it a fabulous Friday where you are?
Certainly is, apart from weather-wise, Tony.
Okay, Aidan.
Aye, it's all right, to be honest. Weather's well, no great.
Don't sound convincing there. Don't sound convincing.
Aye, one of them ones, yeah, indeed. Well, before we get talking about the glorious Glasgow Celtic, I'll just direct you to the ticker tape running along the bottom, as we always do. Subscribe to the Celtic Way website. The deal this month is £2 for 2 months for everything that's written on the website, access to that, unlimited access, and help us continue to produce top quality Celtic content covering a club like no other. Indeed, you join us by the click of a button. You know what I'm going to say, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And we also say thank you to SENECA. And the Celtic Way morning briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. We say thank you to them, and we say welcome to everybody, the commenters, etc., etc. Good day, everyone. Yes, indeed, Steve. Friday, yeah. Morning, everyone. Morning, Helen. Morning, Kaiser. There we go. Evening all from Roasting Hot Sydney. Don't say things like that. That annoys us, doesn't it? But yes, Celtic move on to Perth on Sunday, Sean. Another day where we'll be playing 24 hours after events elsewhere, but we won't bother getting into all of that. You confident that Celtic can go to Perth and keep up their good run, Sean?
I don't see why not. I mean, the form that Celtic are in at the moment, there's very little can stop them except themselves having an off day, I think. That's the kind of way I look at it domestically. Most games, but certainly when you're on a run like this where you're scoring goals and you're not conceding them at the other end, as Aidan will come to, because he wrote a newsletter on that very thing last night. Must be wanting brownie points for me, I think, but I think you're saying they're on a good run. They are on a good run against St Johnstone. When you think of head-to-head, I've obviously got it in front of me. The last time St Johnstone even beat Celtic was May 2016. Which is it's far enough ago, but I mean, since then, that's 25 unbeaten, 22 wins and 3 draws for Celtic. If you just take it to McDermott Park, Tony, it's a 12-game win streak with 34 goals in that 12 games. So what doesn't bode well?
Was that the day Lee Griffiths scored his 40th of the season?
It very well might have been. It was the end of May, start of May.
Yeah, so you're hoping Kyogo can produce something similar. Don't want a similar result, obviously, but by the end of the season, hopefully Kyogo hits those kind of numbers. Aidan, you did do a newsletter yesterday on clean sheets and stuff. I'll just flick this up by now. Ryan Anthony saying, hey, Haggerty 10, you know the drill by now. You know the drill by now, so it's everybody knows. But yes, Aidan, that was quite made for interesting reading, but did you enjoy doing that wee bit of research, and as you say, earning brownie points for the boss? He likes his stats and all that, you know what I mean? Sean likes a bit of that, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, it was interesting doing it, and when I was sort of going back through it, it turns out that this sort of recent run has been one of Celtic's best sort of defensive run of games for a wee while, really, which was surprising to an extent, because obviously apart from that sort of one season, 2020, 2021, there's been a lot of domestic success in recent years, but there's also been a lot of scoring goals, but maybe just not as many clean sheets. So yeah, it does show you that as much as a lot's made about, Andrew's teams and attacking and that, right now is one of the sort of best defensive runs that Celtic's been on for a while.
Aidan, you should know by now not to mention the season that shall not be named.
It was just to provide some context there. I usually try not to.
A bit of Basil Fawlty there. I think I mentioned it once and got away with it. One of those ones, yes, indeed. Sean, it does make for interesting reading, doesn't it? Because when I read it, it is a surprise to me as well, because as Aidan points out, there's been quite a bit of domestic dominance here.
I mean, I must admit when he wrote that, cause we were talking about the different stats behind it and stuff, and I thought, they must have kept six clean sheets in between then and now. That, I mean, even when I was going through it, it's remarkable that there's always something interrupts the wee run. So I think maybe it's timely that Aidan's wrote that, just to kind of appreciate that it doesn't happen all the time. It might be, you might think it's obvious, Celtic have got the best team in the country, best defence, best attack, so they must keep clean sheets all the time. But we've seen this season it's not as easy as that. Yeah. So to turn that round and go on this run, that if they get a clean sheet on Sunday, would equal the 7 in a row that Brendan Rodgers' team from the season Aidan mentioned there, 2018-2019, did a treble team. I know Brendan Rodgers wasn't there by the time they won the treble, but that season, do you know what I mean? The history-making season. I think I've maybe take a wee minute to appreciate that despite clean sheets not being the sexiest thing in football, it's still a very, very impressive run.
Yeah, you're big on your clean sheets. You mention it a lot, Sean, don't you? So yeah, Derek Crawford's coming in. Morning, Derek. I think it'll be our 7th clean sheet in all competitions at the weekend. Oh, there you go. Indeed, that was. I mean, it's as you say, it's a decent run. Aidan. read that this morning. 4:20 somewhere. Well written, big.
I knew that would take off, Tony, when you christened me up.
I'm sorry, sir, but you can't have everything. You can't win the World Cup predictions and then other predictions and stuff, and a wee bit of give and take. Yes, indeed.
Aidan, on your clean sheet topic, Andrew Galea comes in and wonder where you stand on this. He says Celtic put so much pressure on the opposition high up the field that they rarely get into the Celtic half, which makes it easy for the defenders. Do you agree with that? Because I don't in a way, anyway.
I think you can maybe see it in some games, but I wouldn't say it's a sort of regular occurrence, really, based off what I've kind of been watching this season anyway. Mm-hmm. But I suppose everybody can come to different conclusions and that sort of thing, but I wouldn't say it's a regular sort of thing I've noticed in games anyway, Sean, to be honest.
I think, Tony, for me, I can see where Andrew's coming from, and it does make sense that if you've got the ball in the opposition half, it's less likely that they'll score. But if it was making it easy, then they would have kept this run of clean sheets going from the start of the season. It wouldn't be just midway through the season that it's happening. I also think that given most, as we've seen yesterday with the pass network, most players are in the opposition half. So what does that tell you? If an opposition does counter-attack, the centre-backs that are sitting there are exposed. So I don't necessarily agree that it makes it easy for them, or it would happen more often. So I do think it is impressive. And I know as Postecoglou will say, oh, well, don't really think about clean sheets all that much, but Aidan used a nice quote from him in that piece that we're mentioning, where he directly referenced it's not so much the clean sheet aspect of it, it's more that if you're defending properly as a team from the front, then overall the clean sheets will come. Yes. So obviously it's not necessarily the priority, which I agree with. I know for Celtic it's more about scoring, but I still like to see that 0 in the opposition column.
I mean, you just highlighted it for the fact that they went through a spate of losing goals. They were still winning games, but they were still losing goals. Yeah. Which, as you mentioned, one day it might prove costly, and it proved costly in Paisley. Clean sheets equals good and happy sleep, Tyrone Gale. There you go. Can't disagree with that. But in terms of Perth this Sunday, Aidan, I want it to be a bit more comfortable than the last time they went to Perth, and we're cruising at 1-0, conceded a kind of injury time goal, and then went up the park and scored an added on time goal to win 2-1. I would like it to be a wee bit more comfortable than that.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, Tony. That was a bit of a stressful watch, wasn't it? I would very much rather that it was a lot more comfortable than that, and I think if it was similar to that game, then it'll be an interesting brief on Monday. Sorry, I should say.
That's always a journalist's nightmare. Sean rewrites a go-go.
Yep.
Celtic struggled to win 3 points. Celtic struggled to win 3 points. Celtic dropped 2 points. Celtic won. It's one of the ones. So it's never a good thing when that happens. But certainly Celtic got the result in the end. The goal from Georges Giakoumakis, or is he going to become the striker who should not be named? Sean, we talk about him when he finally exits the club. But what was noticeable that day was the whole "we never stop" when there was a kind of lull in the play, but Bernabe kept going, didn't he?
Yes, Bernabe, Giakoumakis. Everybody stopped. Everybody stopped, and I'm including some Celtic players in that. Aaron Moy stopped. I remember he was in the shot. A couple of the other players stopped. Alexander Bernabe didn't. Giacomakis didn't. St Johnstone players did. And
I think it was Dre Wright, wasn't it?
I think so. I think so.
But but the moment of as I say, Bernabe and Giacomakis were both switched on. Yeah, thank the Lord for Bernabe and Big Gigi that day. Yes, exactly. Which is kind of the motto of the team, isn't it? And it served them well that day, certainly.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I'm just getting distracted by the kind of chat about clean sheets and chances and all that kind of stuff in the comments. But we'll come back to that. No, I agree with you. And actually, when you look at it up at McDermott Park, Celtic haven't kept a clean sheet there since 2020. All right, it's only 3 games or something, but still, they've still not kept a clean sheet there since 2020. So take from that what you will, given that tends to be what happens at McDermott Park recently. But there's obviously 6 clean sheets in a row going into this one. You'll see where I stand on it come the score predictions, put it that way. But
yes, that'll be fun. And also, we'll have to put in our 11s, Aidan, or our XIs, as Aidan calls them, our XIs. Are you going to produce some shockers in your XIs, Aidan, or are you fairly straightforward? Who's going to play on Sunday for you?
Don't want to give too much away, obviously, before it actually goes out. But,
there's a couple of your XIs and a couple of your XNOs.
Yeah, so bad for me for that one. I think it'll be maybe a slight tweak from the other night, but not too much, I don't think.
Sean, anybody a definite starter for you?
To be honest, I've been, as I always do, I've been thinking myself into a transfer this one. Derek Crawford's kind of touching on it here. He says same back 5 for tomorrow then, Sean. Now, right, I'm thinking, wild as it might be, right, could this be a rare day where he makes no changes?
That is wild.
I'm looking at the 2 of your faces thinking, nah, it's not going to happen. Because I'm thinking Hart will be in goal, right? If Ralston's fit, maybe he comes in for Alistair Johnston because he's had a run of starts. But beyond that, I'm thinking Carter Vickers, Taylor, they'll start. I predicted Kobayashi, as you did, Tony, the other night. Starfelt come in. As Aidan's pointed out, he's the only guy only defender to have played in each of the 6 clean sheet games. Joe Hart obviously has played in it all as well. So I'm thinking he plays as well. McGregor won't be dropped. Kyogo won't be rested. I mean, the only debate, I suppose, O'Reilly versus Moy, but O'Reilly get his oar back in during the week and played well. Maybe who starts on the wing? Maida, I mean, I don't think you drop him after that. Jota, I think, all right, you gave him a 7. I still think he maybe played well enough, but could it be a bad hand for him? I don't know. I look at it and I think, what if this is the one where he sticks with the same team?
Yeah, Gary McDowell's gone early. Let's have a look at Gary's team. Johnston, Taylor, Cal, Mac.
That's one change, is it? Haksabanovic for Jota.
Haksabanovic for Jota.
Mm.
Okay. That's a big call, because I think Jota's playing some stuff at the minute, to be fair. Andrew Galea, will O'Reilly start again? Big $64,000 question that Aidan's not going to give the XI or the X not to, you know what I mean? That right, Aidan? So you're got your poker face on the day, my good friend. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting when it's funny, Sean, I was thinking about it and then I've just thought about it more since you said that. An unchanged team. Because it ain't really broke, is it? And that team won the game in 45 minutes in midweek.
Mm-hmm.
So you might.
Have I convinced you, or am I just making you think? Oh, maybe
you've just muddied the waters, to be fair. Let's put it that way. So I'm a bit like Aidan now. Oh, maybe he's aye, maybe not.
Of course, as always, it always depends on what Ange Postecoglou says at his press conference. If one of them's injured, then obviously. And maybe if Ralston's fit, then is there a chance he maybe comes in, because Johnston's had a lot of starts lately. But I'm genuinely sitting looking at it thinking he might just not change it for this one. As unlikely as that would be. And I'm thinking, and I kind of had a wee look, and I don't know if it is accurate, so there might have been a time after this, but the last time that I can think of that it didn't change the team between games was the Motherwell 2-1, Leipzig 3-1 loss games back in October. So I don't know. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to just keep it.
We're all going all Charlie Nicholas here, Aidan. We're all sitting here thinking, aren't we? And you can hear the brains rattling, the brains trust rattling about. Sorry for the background noise if you do hear the brain rattling, but there you go. Aidan, you're an Aaron Moy man, aren't you?
Big fan of Aaron Moy. I was maybe not surprised, but was also a wee bit disappointed, I should say, when he didn't start the other night. But obviously O'Reilly came in and did really well. Once again, probably just shows the strength of the squad. But I'll say one thing: I think I'll probably have Moy in my predicted at 11.
There you go, just 10 more.
But you predicted next eye though.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. But I think I will have Aaron Moy back, and I think it's probably more of a, in my mind anyway, it's maybe more of a question about Hatate or O'Reilly, really, for the other sort of side. Obviously, Hatate's played a lot of football recently. Does Ange maybe view this as a game to give him a break, or does he think, given how tight the game ended up being the last time, even up there, even though Celtic did dominate for large portions, does he want somebody like Hatate who can sort of, open up defences with a pass, such as the assist he played for Kyoto recently against St Mirren? It just kind of came out of nowhere. He maybe wants somebody like that for that game on Sunday, but I think it's probably more of a discussion in my mind between them two, and then I would think Aaron Moy will probably been beside them.
Tony, it would be Hatate's 18th successive Premiership start. Is that round about time to rotate him? I don't think he will. I mean, I just don't think he will. He's playing well, so
I don't think he will either. Ralph Thompson says O'Reilly wasn't great in midweek. At the moment, Moy is better. I don't think you can dispute at the moment on form Moy's been playing particularly well, but I actually thought O'Reilly was very good in midweek.
I thought O'Reilly played well as well. Andrew Galea saying he thinks O'Reilly needs another run out. Mark E saying he has seen a lot of fans slating O'Reilly, but he's no idea why. He was involved in 2 goals and played well as usual.
Yeah, that's what I watched, Mark. Yeah, and David Ferguson, Aidan, just a reminder to me and you, who Aaron Moy. We'll have to get that right. David Ferguson doing his daddy cool there.
FS coming in saying, I thought we were all signed up to rotation as a non. We are fully. This is why we do predictive lineups every week, partly to try and see who can guess second guess a manager. But this is my attempt to second guess him as well, kinda.
Sean's going yellow jersey, Aidan. They've all earned it. They're all starting again, but it looks a bit same team. Will McMillan. See, I think
the more people are saying it, Tony, the more you're becoming convinced. I can see it in your eyes.
No, listen, that
join me over here. Join me.
Come to the dark side. The same 11, Aidan. Same XI. He's not one for doing it. He always likes a wee tweak, doesn't he? Guys, you have to sing the Aaron Moy tune every time you mention him, please. It's a brilliant song, to be fair, but yeah. And I spoke about the interview the other day that he gave when he said his kids were singing it and his wife was singing it in the house, and yeah, I think that's it. Just shows you, doesn't it, how quickly that players can come in and settle and make you feel part of the club and the extended Celtic family. So I like that about Aaron Moy, because he's not, as I said before, he's not the most demonstrative when he talks, and he's not. Jerry McCulloch was saying the other night, he's not comfortable doing it, which is fair enough. Some players are, some players aren't, but he actually opened up and started smiling when he was saying that everybody was singing it, or the players sing it to him, and his family sing it. So it was good to see that side of him. Gary McDowell, I think Haksabanovic needs some playing time, and that's why I would put him in from the start. I don't think anybody's disputing that, Gary. Yourself, Sean, you bigging up Haksabanovic, and
I do. I
want to see more of him. Yeah,
I do want to see more of him, and I think when he does get a kind of run in the team, I think he'll make it increasingly difficult to not have him in the starting 11. But it's obviously the trick is to get in that groove to begin with, because the strength and depth of the wingers that are there. You're saying Jota's back in form, Maida is in form. You've got Abada coming in who does things when he is playing.
Yeah.
So, and then even Forrest can pop up with obviously a hat trick earlier in the season. He can pop up with key involvement. So it's difficult to get your own in that sense. But I do think when he gets a run, because it will happen eventually, I think he'll make it hard for him not to be in the team, because I think he looks like a fantastic player.
Yes, I concur with that. Yeah, Haksabanovic for you, Aidan. You want to see more of him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a really big fan of Haksabanovic, and before the sort of World Cup break, there was a couple of games he was very much the main man. Obviously, getting the sort of winning against Ross County, etc. at home, and he looked like he was just kind of going to kick on for the rest of the season. Obviously, he was a bit unlucky to get injured. He's kind of been in and out since then. I think he got the knock. He missed because he got Player of the Month, I think, and then missed the Aberdeen game. And then he was back, and then he got another knock. So he's obviously been a wee bit stop-start, but he's another one, like a lot of players, that I wouldn't have any objection to them starting, even if they weren't really involved in the last match, which once again probably just points to the strength of squad and how much trust you've kind of got in the manager and the players at this point.
Jury's out for me, and Haxa says blind as a bat, and Derek Crawford said agree 100%. Sean, was that with the fact that an unchanged team, Sean?
Yeah. Curtis comes in saying he's for Haksabanovic getting a start. If not, then put O in on the right. I don't see that happening, Tony. I don't think he's been signed to play any part out wide, really.
No, I think he's a centre forward.
He's a striker. I think, what was it? I think I looked up when we were talking about him away at the start. I think it was like the equivalent of 2 games he's played as a winger, right winger. He's not here as a winger. I don't expect him to be. I think there would need to be injuries for that to happen, and even then I'd be looking at maybe Rocco Vata coming up from the B team before I'd be looking at O stepping out wide. But you never know, I suppose. But I do think it's going to be, what was that, 15 minutes, 20 minutes he got in his 2 games. I think he's building him up to get the Giacomakis 30 and get Kyogo off at 60, 65. And then if he challenges after that, then fair.
I said the other night, I thought he might have given him half an hour, and I thought he would have given him half an hour after the fact that they were 3-0 up at half time. So I was surprised that he kind of only got 15, but he's a good old-fashioned centre forward for me, Aidan. Oh, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I've been impressed in the sort of wee short spells I've seen of all. I obviously did a sort of first look at him when he came on against Dundee United. That was a very small sample size, to be fair, but then I thought the other night, I think I'd mentioned it on the pod, that he looked very sort of calm. He's got the sort of physical aspect that Giacomakis has got, but he's also got a ton of pace as well, which I think will be very effective in an Ange team, hopefully getting the ball fed into him by Kyogo, O'Reilly / Moy, Jota, etc. So he's looked positive. It just hopefully maybe over these next couple of games we can get that first goal. I think it's maybe just not something you want dragging on. I know he's not played a lot of football so far, but I think just getting that out of the way, then that maybe just allows him to kick on between now and the end of the season.
Sean
Matsu's getting his prediction in early. 63rd minute is when he thinks goal's going to come on for Kyogo. I'm going to put this one up. Jason Lee saying, would you rest Cal McGregor on Sunday and play Tomoki Iwata? To which I'll ask your opinions on it, but to which Pete McGee has answered for me, because this is what I would think on it. He says not in an away game, he'd rather do it at Parkhead. That's the way I would think on it as well.
I'm with Pete McGee on that, to be fair. Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's a game to risk Iwata. I always say you have to be clinical and professional and get the job done first, that kind of stuff. And I just don't think you tinker with, tried and tested away from home, because that's when it can come back to bite you, go back to St Mirren, So there you go. Now,
that was the last time Hatate didn't start in a league game, by the way, just to put that out there. But Hazel Finn came in saying she's got a sneaky feeling Forest will start. Do you see that at all?
No.
I mean, as an option, it is always an option. The only reason I would say is the fact that
it was just a deadpan no.
I'll explain that in a minute, Hazel, when you go in.
Oh, sorry. I was just to say, he did obviously come out of nowhere and play at Ibrox, so really, after that, which is probably the game that I least expected him to start, I know obviously Haksabanovic wasn't available, who'd been doing really well, etc. in that match, but after that, I think it's fair game that Forest could potentially be into just it would be a wee bit of a surprise, but just after that match, that's kind of swayed me. There's been a few games recently when I've considered maybe just putting Forest in, but we'll just need to wait and see.
Tony, sorry, I didn't mean to be so dismissive there or deadpan, but I just think that Jota, Maeda, Abada, Haksabanovic right now are probably ahead of Forest for a start, and you can pair any two from those 4, and I'm sure he'll be on the bench and might play some part, but I would be inclined to play 2 from those 4 before Forest. That's just my own thoughts on it. Having said this, Ange Postecoglou make a complete mug of me and put him in on Sunday, Hazel. You can come back on here on Monday and say, told you.
Well, he's been on the bench twice in a row there without getting on. Got half an hour against Morton, I think. Started the Rangers game, Aidan's right, that was the last time he started. But before that, he started the St Johnstone game and got an assist. I don't know, as to put it bluntly. I don't think so. I don't think so, but you never know because he will get minutes. Ange Postecoglou said that he will get minutes, but I don't necessarily know if it'll be McDermott Park.
Now, Sean, Aidan likes an XI and a sample size. So speaking of sample sizes, what's St Johnstone's current form? Because I know you like to dig into opposition's form ahead of a game against Celtic.
Well, they're creeping towards that top 6, Tony. Because remember, last season they had quite a poor season after winning a double. So creeping towards the top 6. They went from 6 league games unbeaten, slightly just before the World Cup break, and then the first game after the World Cup break. They've went from that to losing 6 league games on a spin before they beat Motherwell 2-1 on Wednesday. So 2-1 on Wednesday? Was it 2-1? Was it 2-0?
2-0, I thought.
2-0. Aye, 2-0. So in that respect, they've kept a clean sheet since I'll go back to the clean sheets and stuff. But they beat them 2-0 on Wednesday, kept a clean sheet in that match. But before that, they hadn't kept one since October 29th, which was also the last time they kept one at home. So again, I'll go back to it. If you're not keeping clean sheets, are you going to keep one against Celtic? Doubtful. They usually play 3 or 5 at the back. They're usually that kind of team. They've been that kind of team under Callum Davidson pretty much from the get-go. But they've played 4 a couple of times recently. That said, they reverted back to the 3-5 against Motherwell. So I'd imagine it will be that. And just as an aside, I suppose they will, of course, have Nicky Clark available after his red card at Ibrox was rescinded on appeal. But don't get me started on the decisions in that match, lads. It
was a shocker, wasn't it, Aidan, that was rescinded on appeal?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those ones that the fact that obviously it had to even really go to an appeal in the first place and we're meant to have VAR. I know it's probably not a discussion we want to get into because VAR we probably did discuss enough when it's, doing a reaction just after a game like the next day or whatever. But yeah, you would have thought that with VAR, multiple people been able to look at it from multiple angles. The referee being able to go to the monitor, that appeals would kind of become a thing of the past. Obviously, I understand you still need to have them there. So I know in England, etc., they will still have them in case something does happen. But yeah, I wasn't expecting there to be any appeals anytime soon, to be honest, after the technology was coming in.
And here's something that will never catch on. Tony Haggerty. It just doesn't scan, does it? My name's
not right. You need to shorten it to Hag, surely. Tony Hag.
So, yes, we'll thanks, Paddy. That's quite complimentary, but I don't think that will ever catch on. Now, Sean, you said that you're not going to keep a clean sheet against Celtic or, all kind of stats point to that. You have to say that's true because they are quite clinical and potent. And as I say, I go back to Wednesday night where took a while, but once they got the breakthrough, and I think even before they got the breakthrough, you were thinking this is a matter of time before they break Livingston down.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I said yesterday, I text my pal saying this is either going to be one of those games where you need to wait ages for the breakthrough and it's a 1-0, or it's going to be once that first one comes, it ends up a few, and it ended up a few. I suspect it will be a few again in Perth. Are we going for score predictions now? Is that what your league meant to?
If you want to go for score predictions, we'll go for score predictions. I don't know if Aidan's keeping his close to his chest like he's XI, but we'll see.
Well, cool, right, all right. Well, as I said earlier on, St Johnstone have scored against Celtic the last 3 times at McDermott, so that meant Celtic haven't kept a clean sheet up there since 2020. But I do think it's going to be the 7th clean sheet in a row for this team. And on top of that, I'll go with a scoreline that served me well in midweek, and I'll go 3-0.
I'm going 4. I'm going 4 till it happens, Aidan. There you go. Don't back down, double down. 4-0.
I think I'll maybe go. I'll go 2-0. I'll agree with B. 2-0. 2-0. Yeah, definitely for another clean sheet. I've got to stick to my guns on that after what I was writing yesterday. And 2-0. Hopefully 2-0, but a comfortable 2-0, I should say, Tony. I don't want any sort of repeat of the nerves last time out. Hopefully, 2-0 dominant. Don't allow St Johnstone too many chances, that sort of thing.
K Matsu thinks it's either 2-0 or 7-1, no in between.
That would be some cooking, to be fair.
4-0 Scotland, the brave goes with me. Indeed. Now Vincent O'Brien comes in here. So 8-0 double Vincent O'Brien comes in here and says, any mention about the O song? Now, does O have a song?
Well, they were
or are we
singing
just
O.
talking it?
I don't know.
They were singing what, sorry?
They were singing O, but I don't know if it was necessarily
okay.
like an actual song with words or what. But
so I tell you what we'll do. We'll throw it over to the commenters to come up with. So I mean, we were talking the other day about when he scores his first goal. Oh, what a night! Type thing. It lends itself to that, and oh, it's magic, stuff like that. But I'm sure there'll be all sorts. Aidan, you got a song in mind for O?
Hey, you maybe need to come back to me on that one, Tony.
Say okay.
Take a back.
That's something you'll need to research, yeah? Oh, it's
give me the weekend. Give me the weekend to come back on Monday.
Yeah, I think that's what the one with people were saying, wasn't it? The go-to one, oh, it's magic, type thing, yeah. Sean, you happy with that? Or would you like to see...
Well, Blind Asabat's suggesting MVG style, which is Michael Van Gerwen style, so he'll be talking about the White Stripes. That's what he'll be talking about.
Yeah, I say it's...
7 Nation Army.
Yes, as you say, it's a headline writer's dream, so you can just pick any kind of song with own the title, can't you, really, and adapt it to suit, as they say. But it would be good to see him get more minutes. Aidan says it would be good to see him score his first goal. But I agree with yourself, Sean. I think he's just a good old-fashioned centre-forward, and I want him to be a good old-fashioned centre-forward. And I think he's big enough, and he looks like he's got, I mean, as Aidan says, it's small sample size so far, but I think he's got the attributes to look like he will cause defenders trouble once he gets his shooting boots on and he's really settled into the way of life. Things about Anything else flicked up there, Sean? You're smiling, laughing.
No, I was smiling just because Scotland the Brave saying Sean rocking up on a pod like Michael Stipe, some guy.
For those who don't know who Michael Stipe is, he's the lead singer of who, Sean?
The White Stripes? No, REM, sorry. So what am I talking about?
Yes.
REM, sorry. I was reading the other comment about the Syrian there, 7 Nation Army by the White Stripes. Well, I don't know whether it's a compliment or not, Tori. What do you think?
Well, I was just going to say, I'm glad you're not in the corner because I would be asking you if you're losing your religion.
Come on.
Yeah, just you're going to put the ball in the tee, I'm going to smack it down the fairway, right?
If there's one thing they say about us, Tony, it's that we're shiny, happy people on here,
isn't it? Hey, you get any offer, Aidan?
No, sorry.
You're going to say REMs before my time, aren't you? And make us all feel old.
I'll just say no comments. What I'll say.
Dear oh dear, I will need to get Clive Dunn's Grandad as my walk-on music now for the pod. You know what I mean? It's feeling older by the day. But yeah, most people in confident mood, Sean, heading to Perth, Celtic will be able to win again and keep another clean sheet. And I think that's just it's testament to the way they're playing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're all right when you're saying in the comments, Ange doesn't really care about the clean sheets. Fundamentally, none of us care about the clean sheet if you're winning the game, obviously. But I just think it speaks to a kind of a more rounded performance and a more rounded cohesion when it comes to the pressing and defending and everything else about this aggressive style that he talks about. If you are keeping clean sheets as well and scoring 2 or 3.
Yeah, Aidan, you agree with that? Are you happy to go along with that?
Yeah, completely. I mean, obviously across the season, it is all about, and the fans do want to see, the team scoring plenty of goals, dominant victories, etc. But the defence is really an important part of beating a successful team as well, which is, I mentioned that in the article yesterday, that come the end of the season, if Celtic do lift silverware, that the defence will have played just as much a part in that as the sort of, Kyogo Jota. They make the players that get the assists and the goals. So, yeah, overall it's a team effort, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so, and that's what I like about it, that it's a team effort and the manager can. I mean, the 5 substitutes rule has really helped Celtic in that sense because you can replace half a team, but the quality that Celtic have and the strength and depth, which Sean's always banged on about, depth charts and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, you can see it now. You can see you're reaping the benefits of that, aren't you, Sean, in every game?
Aye. The fact that you can replace half your outfield team over the course of a game. It will benefit a team that's got that strength and depth because you're replacing not like for like, but quality for quality. The trick at that point, and this is kind of, I suppose, what everybody sees as well, it's not a massive point, but the trick is to try and keep that intensity. That's the trademark of your play before the changes come in, because these players are quality that are coming on, and it's quality that's coming off. But within the course of a 90 minutes, for instance, you've got the beating of a man, you're winning your individual battle, you're faster than somebody, that whatever it may be, that leads to a kind of a performance full of synergy, put it that way. It's not as easy just for someone to come on and just pick up that mantle the way that it was. And sometimes it's to do with the scoreline. If you're 3-0, 4-0 up, naturally it's going to be harder to keep that intensity going anyway than if you're chasing a goal to win the game or whatever. So that's the trick. But 5 subs makes a big difference for Celtic. It just, when you look at the bench, you're looking at the bench as much as you're looking at the starting 11 when it's announced, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. And Aidan, that I think Sean pointed out the other night that the fact that Celtic didn't score the other night, it wasn't a reflection on, I think you said about the chances created, Sean, and the shots at goal, wasn't it?
It was
quite similar both halves.
It was pretty similar between the halves. First half, second half, there was a marginal difference. The main difference obviously being they scored 3 in the first half and none in the second. But you know what I mean? The quality of chances they were creating wasn't a particularly high quality chance creation game for Celtic. But in terms of the difference between the first half and the second half, they might have scored 3 in the first and none in the second. But in terms of the quality of chances they created, there wasn't much difference.
But that's a good thing, Aidan, isn't it?
Yeah, it does show you that they're still dominating games, really, even when they aren't getting the goals. And in that second half, it didn't really matter too much because you'd obviously done this sort of business in the first half. More of a concern, you were also having a lot of ball, a lot of chances, and you were drawing games 0-0 or whatever, or losing them. But yeah, it just shows you that really, when you're mentioning about the bench, seeing it, that's another thing that speaks to how good the recruitment's been under Ange since he came in, that very much went out there, identified players that he needed and wanted, and now we're seeing the benefit of. Obviously, there is a sort of first strength. I was going to say X either. It's first strength starting 11, with Kyogo, etc. But even when Giacomakis, I know we don't really know what's happening with him, but when he was also coming off the bench, there was still quality there. Him coming on for a while. Aaron Moy was also coming off the bench as well. There was Turnbull. There's plenty of good players there that if they did start a game, you wouldn't be too worried. So yeah, the squad's in probably one of the best places I can remember really at the moment.
And Sean, I think that can be demoralising for any opposition. Well, you take Kyogo off.
I mean, there's been a few opposition players over the past, certainly this season, but maybe less so last season until January, when the reinforcement came in. There's been a few opposition players have said that, where it's kind of, you think, just as you think you're getting to grips with, say, I was going to say Daiza Maeda, but I don't think anybody gets to grips with him. Say, just as you're getting to grips with Leo Labada, he comes off, Maeda switches wings and Jota's over there, and you're going, you know what I mean? How you meant to combat that?
Of a rest, yeah, that kind of thing. But that's, as you say, testament to the recruitment as Aidan alluded to there. So, yes. Well, gentlemen, that's nearly 40 minutes, and it's always result dependent, isn't it, Aidan? But we have to wait until Sunday again for St Johnstone versus Celtic. I'll be in Perth for that one, so hopefully, as I say, we can breathe a bit more easily this time, Aidan, than the last time. Don't want it to go all the way. Not good for the old ticker when these things happen, but
fingers crossed, yeah. Fingers crossed. It's not quite dramatic as last time, Tony.
But confident in the team, whatever he picks. If he goes for a status quo, Sean, big decision, eh? Big decision.
Wait, you see, he'll say something in this press conference, and I'll totally bottle it. End up 5 changes.
So you see, when you would say something as a journalist in the press box, and maybe being flippant, or you'd say something because someone say, write it. That kind of stuff. So, because you'll think about it and then you talk yourself out it, within 5 minutes. But yes, indeed. Now, guys, I'll just direct your attention to the strap line running along the bottom again. And we've got a deal. We always have a deal. And you can subscribe to the Celtic Way website for only £2 for 2 months, and that gives you unlimited access to everything that's written on the website. Something there for everybody, as you all know by now, and you can help us continue to produce top quality Celtic content covering a club like no other. And you join us, click of a button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And we also say thank you to SENECA, the Celtic Way morning briefing, now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. Another enjoyable one today, guys. I think it's a sign of the fact that the way Celtic are playing and the confidence and the feel-good factor that we have at the minute. And it was interesting to see, Sean, that it was a year on since Celtic destroyed Rangers 3-0 in February. Yeah. And I think that's one of Aidan's favourite games, isn't it, Aidan? Quite a lot of Celtic supporters' favourite games since the Ange reign kind of kicked off, but it's certainly your favourite, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd probably say so. It was some night, as you say, Tony, some night.
Oh, what a night!
What a night!
Tony, that was the first game, as you remember. I was still off paternity leave. That was the first game after my daughter was born. It was a 3-0 derby win. So
put it down to wee Sophia.
That's it.
Indeed, lucky charm and all that. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back on Monday to dissect all the action from Perth. Here's hoping it's another clean sheet, and one of us is right with our score prediction. 2-0 says Aidan, 4-0 says myself, and 3-0 says Sean. 2-3-4 again. Sean was right the other night, so he's got the bragging rights at the minute. Me and Aidan playing catch up. But yeah, as I say, and thank you for all the comments. We enjoy the interaction every day. You can tell we don't take ourselves that serious. As you can see, we like to have a laugh with guys, and it's all good. But we couldn't do it without you. So thank you for that. Thank you for subscribing. We do appreciate it, and we hope you enjoy it. You seem to. And we shall be back on Monday, guys. Sean, first class as always. Aidan, top man.
Cheers.
Take care.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.